So, you ever heard of Grace? Grace is a first-person, action, horror, Doors-like Roblox game. It's made by the Farthing Few, and it's inspired by, well, everything. I'm hedging my bets on the fact that you already know what the game is. But, in case you don't, here's a quick rundown. You start the game by descending into the series of brick alleyways. The goal of the game is to run from safe room to safe room in under 2 minutes and 30 seconds while being hunted down by different entities. Now that we've established what the game is, let's talk about what it's about. This video serves as my interpretation of the game's lore and ordering of events. This is your soul. There's the outside, and then there's the flip side. The flip side of your soul is calm, peaceful, full of harmony. Childhood is often attributed with innocence, where the child is untainted, free of sin or adjacent to that. Things were much simpler when you were a kid. Life was a mystery, its inner workings a set of magical cogs you never understood, but were always fascinated by. Time was slow, colors were more vivid, warmth and safety were easily attainable. Life was simple. So was faith. You lived in a little bubble, and you were, for the most part, unproblematic. A little naughty sometimes, sure, but you were free to do as you please and were safe whilst doing it. Zen reflects the idea of what your soul looks like during the period of high faith and purity. An idea that we usually attach with childhood, where things were much simpler. It is an endless domain of calmness. No doors to open, no entities chasing you, just pure bliss. You may run, jump and fly as much as you like for however you like. You may also just take in the environment, sit on a bench and relax. All is well. And then you screw up in Grace. There comes a moment in every person's life where they're confronted by a situation where they're going to act incorrectly. No matter your upbringing or where you're from, you're going to mess up. And nothing prepares you for the first time you're tested or the consequences that follow. What the f? As soon as you interact with temptation, Zen is shaken. What once was perfect and peaceful is now crumbling around you. Instead of there being no entities to hunt you down, sin descends into your soul and begins chasing after you. There's an unattainable badge in the game called Cope. You get it by escaping sin. But sin is inescapable. Coping, and by proxy justifying your mistakes, doesn't erase the fact that they're still mistakes. And the longer you go without addressing those mistakes, the worse it is for you. Because the longer sin stays inside your soul, the weaker your faith gets. Zen is still attainable in life. However, it isn't here to stay. It only serves as a reminder, as a moment of peace from the constant onslaught. But even peace ends. And soon enough, as Zen ends, the normal returns. Grace is the shell that protects your soul, and you have to maintain it yourself. You're tasked with navigating life and its obstacles, all the while your faith is being tested constantly. I think people take the idea of being a good person for granted, where they think it's just the easy thing to do. It is not, and Grace shows you how. While you're on the clock to get to the next safe room, you're being hunted down by misinformation, greed, lust, sloth, pride, sorrow, and whatever the fuck heed and slight are. Each entity has its own mechanic, and people struggle with those entities differently. Whenever I play, for example, my main struggle is slight. Usually I try to grab a brick and chuck it at its eyes. But that's not the only entity that I struggle with. Neither do my friends. For example, Meth gets eviscerated by Elkman, and Haytham gets fucking swallowed by Slugfish. I'm not. Yes, you do. I don't. Get f- Yeah. Get what? Yeah, bricks.
Stop trying to throw bricks at it. You're not him.
I won, okay? I beat it. I beat it with a brick.
Where's the last lever?
Why are you still trying to open the door? I'm already on. Oh my god, you might be cooked. Yeah, I heard you. I heard you die. Okay, I got him. Yeah, it's... Fuck, no. Fuck.
I saw that.
No, my head snapped.
No.
Shit, I swear to god.
I fucking hate
Get
worm!
Get
Fuck you!
Where's your body? Where's your body? Where's the body?
Piece of shit.
Oh, you got eaten whole! Slugfish doesn't leave a body, I forgot.
For the most part, most of the main entities work alone. Although it isn't unusual that you get cornered in a room where you have to deal with multiple things happening simultaneously. This does not end here though, as you can choose to customize your run between safe rooms. You can add extra entities to your run, or make the already existing ones more challenging to face. Of those entities, here are the ones I find most interesting. Doppel is a personification of your past mistakes. Doppel is the only entity that makes your survival difficult, but doesn't necessarily kill you.
I'm going in the wrong direction. Nice.
It can also duplicate itself up to 8 times. I tried recording some of Doppel's voice lines, but yeah, I don't think they're very comprehensible. Another entity is Litany. Peer pressure as a concept. Litany appears on your screen with its eyes shut. If you're standing while its eyes are open, it decimates you. One of the best mechanics in Grace is Spread the Love, which is essentially a global speed boost. You can equip traits that give a speed boost to you and your friends, but that usually comes with a caveat. You either A, encounter an extra entity that is only exclusive to you, or you must overcome a certain challenge or criteria to get the boost. A great example of those challenges is the Rosary Ring, where you have to crouch 10 consecutive times in order to give yourself and your friends a good boost. No one else can see the challenges you face or be hurt by them. This is a parallel to how in real life, some people might behave strangely around certain things that we may view as normal. The way they're built, their personalities and weak points are different from ours, so they have to strategize differently. One of the best examples is the Omni trait, Humble, which replaces your dozer encounters with weaker Litany encounters. Excess humility is not a virtue, especially amongst the wrong crowd. One of the cooler things about Grace is how they managed to incorporate skins into the lore of the game. Every single entity that you face can be customized to look different to you. In other words, you don't have to call a sin. For example, you don't have to be lying, you can just be sugarcoating the truth. This, however, doesn't change the fact that even if you change its name or how it looks, the effect of your wrongdoings stays the same. Another thing that kinda gets slept on is the rooms of Grace. Sure, you've got the rooms that you're traversing in between, but no one talks about safe rooms or greed rooms as much. Greed rooms, for example, signify extra good deeds one does to get closer to God. You're given a few seconds to run across the room, gathering extra XP and bricks as you go. If you stay too long, however, you get crushed. Extra good is good, but it should never come at the cost of what is essential, which in this case would be the safe rooms. While greed rooms have been a recent addition to the game, the safe rooms have always been part of the game. The safe rooms are a place where you can recharge your faith and rest up before you go on and face the onslaught again. They're also the places where you get notes for what you're about to encounter next. This is kinda canon in religion. In Islam, for example, our main safe rooms are the 5 daily prayers. From the washing up for prayer to the act of prayer itself, all of it helps us recharge and maintain harmony. The constant struggle that you face in grace isn't the only thing you have to deal with though, as occasionally, the trials in your life grow in difficulty and become insurmountable challenges that must be tackled by themselves. Around the 5th safe room, a menu drops down while you rest. You're given a choice between 3 domains: synro, clot, and need. In need, you water the buds of your resolve while facing deceit and all of its constituents. I especially love flower heads. They look strong and beautiful, but the lies they carry and spread are poisonous. Still, once faced with truth, they're easily dismantleable. Need used to be my favorite domain because I found it to be the easiest, and its music was so fun to listen to. It flowed and ramped up in tandem with the difficulty of each phase. It was thrilling, and it was very exciting. I was visibly shaking the entire time I was playing in Need. And I still do. It's just that exciting. By comparison, Synro's domain is suffocating. In Synro, you're being forced in an awful game of Simon Says while being chased by people who've already fallen to litany, either willingly or unwillingly. They're called guiles. Synro's domain is about peer pressure, and that is reflected in more ways than one. There's the fact that you have to comply in order to survive. You're also being chased by an infinite army of headless soldiers that are after your head. And don't even get me started on mini litany and the lasers. Litany shows up in your screen and it's one hell of a distraction. And if that wasn't enough, you risk your run getting ended by the lasers coming out of nowhere. Synro's soundtrack is awfully overwhelming. From the marching of the guiles to the bell, you're almost never fast enough to be safe from the guiles. More often than not, you'll find the word faster all over your screen. And if it's not enough pressure, litany is on your screen so you can't even run properly.
Main issue is probably the 3-eyed piece of shit on my screen.
I'm dead.
But just like peer pressure, Synro puts up a scarier show than what it actually is. For example, despite the constant reminder that you need to go faster, the guiles are not as threatening as they may seem. In fact, they actually slow down the slower they get to you. Things like that are harder to notice under pressure. When everything feels like a threat, it's often quite easy to succumb to that threat or even double down and dig yourself a deeper hole. Getting out of peer pressure is never easy. And guiles are the worst. Lastly, and I saved the best for last, clot, also known as Clot is about grief and suicide ideation. You're trying to maintain your sanity by making sanity cubes that float above an endless ocean of red. And if things weren't already awful, you're also trying not to be literally consumed by the grief of tragedy. In this case, tragedy being a giant sea serpent that wants to eat you whole. In a normal run, sorrow is nothing more than a manageable inconvenience. In its domain, however, it's no longer a light sprinkle. It is an endless, bottomless ocean of blood-red tears. And in your sea of sorrow, you are being hunted by the tragedy that started it all. The main game loop of sorrow involves you diving in and out of the ocean, because diving in boosts you up. As an added bonus, it makes things easier to see, as opposed to outside where the rain is covering your vision the entire time. But even that has its quirk, as tragedy will try to electrocute you to death if you stay in the water for too long. Sorrow's soundtrack is also very symbolic. It is loud and messy, and not in a good way. I remember that after my first time playing, I have mentally checked out of it. I decided it was my least favorite. Its music was too loud. It was frustrating to go through all of that struggle and just get consumed at the end. But after managing to actually get better at the domain and seeing what it's all about, it kind of grew on me. In the face of great loss, when you have nothing left and no one by your side, who will you turn to? Just like everything in Grace, if you're resilient enough, there will be a way out. Stem and the flower heads fall to the light of truth. Tragedy gets its back broken by a missile and remains dormant for now. And as for Giles and their endless peer pressure, they get crushed. All you gotta do to win